Hi, everybody. I'm here to talk about recordings. And the reason why this came up was I was teaching a lesson a few weeks ago. And I was talking to the student, and she said she was listening. She's playing Schumann G minor, Opus 22 Sonata. And she got carried away with the tempo. And I was like, why are you playing this so fast? And she says, well, listen to Martha Argerich. And I went, and let's, for the protocol, right? I bow to the spirit of the great Martha Argerich. She's by far my favorite pianist. I adore the earth she steps on. Um, but I think that us mortals need to be very careful by trying to imitate the gods. And what do I mean by that? When you're learning a piece, you are so susceptible to hearing other people's interpretations and decisions that even if you're conscious of, well, they're doing X and I'm not going to do X, you're still absorbing their decisions. And I know that because I did absolutely the same thing. And even though I didn't want to imitate the performance, I would find myself making the same decisions because I thought they were smart decisions. So here's my credo. Here's what I believe. First of all, you should always wait with listening to recordings. I mean, if you're trying to figure out which piece to play, then listen to recordings, of course. But once you decided what piece you're going to play, take the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it takes you to learn the piece, learn the score without listening to the recordings. The reason is you're learning, you're going to absorb the music sort of without any influence. And once that process is completed and you've sort of got your own position on what the text is trying to say, then we open our ears and our minds to hearing other people's interpretation. So number one, listen to more than one recording. Do not just listen to one. Do not just listen to one perspective. At least two, if not three, and if you can, listen to different periods. So if you're listening to pianists from the 20s, and then the newer generation of pianists from the 70s, and then somebody young and contemporary, what they're doing, just get different perspective on what is possible with the piece. And then I think the second thing I want to say is when you're listening, try to figure out what the essence of the decision making is all about. So is it about technique? Is it about showing you something with the structure? Is it about a compelling emotion or story for the piece that is coming across? Try to get the perspective that the artist is trying to tell you. And the reason I'm saying it is because I feel that when I was growing up, got really stuck with performances. Pardon, that's the traffic in New York City. I got really stuck with the binary of, am I moved or am I not moved? And if I'm not moved, I'm not interested. And clearly that's a dangerous position to take. And maybe my favorite example is with Bach performances, because, I mean, if you don't know this recording, you really should. But Bach interpreted was Glenn Gould. Glenn Gould was the best, and that was it, and there was no discussion. And I remember getting into serious fights with colleagues and significant others about Andras Schiff, and my friend said, no, he's terrific and he's wonderful. And I said, just get out of here, Gould is the best. And now when I'm in my 40s and I listen to Andras Schiff partitas, I'm so incredibly moved and I'm so in love with that performance that I think the lesson that I learned is so profound that just because you like one thing or you're connecting really intensely to one interpretation does not mean that other interpretations are invalid and should be discarded. I think for me the strongest example of that is with Bach, and thinking that Gould was God and nobody else came close. Multiple interpretations can exist as valid. Some of them are going to be more compelling, some may be less compelling, but different interpretations are valid. And your taste will change with time, right? So something that might appeal to you when you were younger might not appeal to you later. And I think the beautiful thing about where I am at today is that I can really hear two completely opposite interpretations and love them both and be happy with that. What else do I want to say? I want to say that to some degree, maybe this is going to be controversial, but to some degree, I think that my generation, when we listened to recordings, it was on CD or LP, and you sort of had to experience the whole thing. You would put it in there and you would listen and absorb the entire thing, and when it was done, it was done. And nowadays, with the accessibility of so many different interpretations and recordings, I think it made, in some ways, life a lot easier, because you can't find the performance you're looking for in matter of seconds, but we don't listen to the whole thing. And I think that's a shame. I don't know if anybody remembers, but we used to have to flip sides on a cassette tape and go, if you wanted to hear the Grieg concerto again, you had to listen to the entire Schumann concerto on the other end. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I learned a lot of repertoire by listening to the B-side of those tapes, and that's something that I think should be encouraged and people should pay attention to. They really should try and listen to more music than just what they're playing and what's in their to-do list. I think that's all I want to say about recordings. Listen to pieces that are not for your instrument. That's always, I think this is one of my favorite recordings of the Debussy and Ravel quartets and the introduction and Allegro. This CD is probably demolished. And then maybe listen to styles that you're not familiar with, like Astor Piazzolla tangos or some jazz, some bossa nova, something just to expand your horizon. It's not just, there are other styles of music that are really wonderful to listen to. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and leave a comment below if you disagree or you agree, you want to ask questions. I'll be happy to answer. Adios.